Donald Trump said something about a man that he works with right now in the White House that I have never, ever heard him say about another man or woman ever. It was a remarkable moment, and I think it may be the most important thing you'll ever learn about what's going on right now with Trump and Musk. Donald Trump and Elon Musk sat for an exclusive interview with Sean Hannity. And I don't know if you've watched Sean Hannity lately, but I got to say, it was pretty impressive that Trump and Musk got a word in edgewise. Dude, brother, just let him talk sometimes, okay? That said, we got some pretty good tidbits here, not just about what's going on here with the Doge effort, but also we really, really got some insight into the relationship, the extraordinary relationship between these two extraordinary men. And in this interview, Donald Trump said something about a man that he works with right now in the White House that I have never, ever heard him say about another man or woman ever. It was a remarkable moment, and I think it may be the most important thing you'll ever learn about what's going on right now with Trump and Musk. Watch this with me.
I know every businessman. I know the good ones, the bad ones, the smart ones, the lucky ones. I know them all. This guy's he's a brilliant guy. He's a great guy. He's got tremendous imagination and scientific imagination, far beyond, you keep talking about a technologist and all, but you're much more than a technologist. You are that, but he's also a good person. He's a very good person, and he wants to see the country do well. And I know a lot of great business people, really great business people, but they're not really, in some cases, very good people. And I know people that would try and take advantage of the situation. This guy's somebody that really cares for the country. And I saw that very early on. I saw it really a long time ago when I got to know him. He's a very different kind of a character. That's why, who loves him? Young people that are very smart and that love the country.
I've never heard Donald Trump say that about a colleague before. I'm told by people who have worked for President Trump in the first White House that one of the best compliments he ever pays somebody is that they're very smart. He admires that. President Trump admires intelligence. He admires people who have intelligence and apply that intelligence for success. But then he went overboard to talk about what a good person he is, what a patriot he is, and how his intentions and what he's trying to achieve are all coming from a good place. Not only is that extraordinary in terms of the relationship that these two men have and how they're working together. And by the way, the image that you see right there is extraordinary. When was the last time you've ever seen Donald Trump, or for that matter, any president, any sitting president in office, conduct a joint interview with someone other than the First Lady? Maybe the vice president, but even that is rare. If you're president and you're giving an interview, it's one-on-one. The mere fact that this image exists, that this joint interview occurred, is remarkable. And this comes after the extraordinary joint press conference that they held at the Oval Office, where really it was just sort of Elon asking whatever questions the reporters in the pool wanted, and Trump just looked on and chimed in now and again. But Donald Trump right there going on the record saying, this is a good man. I trust him. I believe in him. All of his intentions are coming from a good place. And that, he owns Doge now. Okay, I used to joke and say, look, this is brilliant because Musk's doing all the hard work. If he screws up, Trump can always say, that was Elon, but, I'm scot-free. It's like, this is how the Washington, D.C. game is played. And with all due respect, Trump has played it very well. Think about all the people from his first administration that, are no longer good friends, right? As soon as somebody messes up, if Trump needs to, he cuts them loose. That's just how he's played this game so far, and he's been very effective at it. And for that matter, most of the people that he's cut loose deserve to get cut loose. It's painful to watch, but it's a thing. That's why I don't get too attached to people who work in the Trump White Houses, because they might not be along for very long. What does Trump always say about people when he's asked, do you think this and that? He says, listen, I think he's a very good person. I think that he's going to do a good job. Let's see. He always says that. Let's see what happens. Let's see how they work out. Let's see. It's always about production. It's always about merit. It's always about what you're able to achieve. What you just heard, and that was just the beginning of it. There's more here, but that was extraordinary. And I've never heard Trump say that about a colleague before. within the realm of politics. This is a huge endorsement for Elon Musk. And not just for Elon Musk, but for the entire process here. And most importantly, what's in Elon Musk's heart, his intentions, because that's what most of the rumor mongering, most of the scare tactics, most of the hyperventilating you're seeing from the media is, this innuendo, this inference that Musk has nefarious motives. That's why he shouldn't have access to that, shouldn't have access to this. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. He wants to double dip. He wants to kill his competition. He's got contracts with the government. There's going to be a conflict of interest. It all has to do with his nefarious motives. And Trump just swept them all aside and say, I trust him. And that is huge. Now, there's more from this interview that's worth watching.
People to know the relationship and know more about you. What is the relationship, Mr. President?
Well, I respect him. I've always respected him. I never knew that he was right on certain things, and I'm usually pretty good at this stuff. He did Starlink. He did things that were so advanced and nobody knew what the hell they were. I can tell you in North Carolina, they had no communication. They were wiped out. Those people were, they had rivers in between. Land that never saw water, all of a sudden there was a river and a vicious, like rapids. People were dying all over. They had no communication. They said, do you know Elon Musk? They didn't really know I knew him. I said, yeah. He said, could you get Starlink? It's like the first time I ever heard of it. I said, what's Starlink? A communication system. That's unbelievable.
I have it.
Yeah. And he said, I called him and I said, listen, they really need it. And he got like thousands of units of this communication, and it saved a lot of lives. He got it immediately, and you can't get it. I mean, you have to wait a long time to get it, but he got it to him immediately. And I said, that's pretty amazing. And I didn't even know he had it. We watched the rocket ships and we watch Tesla. I think, something that had an effect on me was when I saw the rocket ship come back and get grabbed, like you grab a beautiful little baby, you grab your baby. It just
hug the rocket.
I've never seen.
Right, everyone needs a hug and clean rockets.
And he said, you can't really have a rocket program if you're going to dump $1 billion into the ocean every time you fly. You have to save it.
Right.
And he saved it. First time that I've ever seen that done. Now, nobody else can do it. If you look at the U.S., Russia, or China, they can't do it. And they won't be able to do it for a long time. He has the technology. So you learn. I wanted somebody really smart to work with me in terms of the country, a very important aspect. Because, he doesn't talk about it. He's actually a very good businessman. And when he talks about the executive orders, and this is probably true for all presidents, you write an executive order and you think it's done. You send it out. It doesn't get done. It doesn't get implemented. They don't implement it. Maybe they're from the last administration, and they are in some cases. You try and get them out as fast as you can. But as soon as he said that, I said, that's interesting. You write a beautiful executive and you sign it and you assume it's going to be done, but it's not. What he does is he takes it, and with his 100 geniuses, he's got some very brilliant young people working for him that dress much worse than him, actually.
Yeah,
they dress in just T-shirts. You wouldn't know they have 180 IQ.
Wait a minute. So he's your tech support.
No, he is. But he's much more than that.
I actually am tech support, though. But
he gets it done. He's a leader.
Yeah.
He really is. He gets it done. You get a lot of tech people, and you have people that are good with tech, but he gets it done. I said in real estate, you had guys that would draw beautiful renderings of a building, and they'd draw the rendering. It would be great. And you say, great, when are you starting? But they were never able to get it built. They couldn't get the financing. They couldn't get the approvals. It would never get done. And then you have other guys that are able to get it done. They could just get it done. I was in real estate. Same thing in this. He gets it done.
Again, I just want to point out and ask you decide, have you ever seen President Trump go on and wax poetic about any member of his cabinet, his running? Don't get me wrong. It's not like he throws some shade and criticizes them. But he's going overboard here. He has decided that he is ready to latch on to this entire system. People who have suggested that he was trying to keep some distance so that Musk can do this thing and he can remain separated from it. Not after last night. Not after this interview. This is absolutely extraordinary, and it's going to have repercussions, I think, with how this is covered and how this plays out. Trump owns all of this now. There's no doubt about it. And he owns it because he's decided this is a very good thing.
They sign a contract in a government agency, and it has 3 months, and the guy leaves that signed the contract, and nobody else is there, and they pay the contract for 10 years.
Yeah.
So the guy is getting checks for years and years and years, and he's telling his family, obviously, maybe it was crooked, maybe he paid to get the contract, or maybe he paid that they didn't terminate it. But, you know, we have contracts that go forever, and they've been going for years, and they're supposed to end in 3 months or 5 months or 2 years or something, and they go forever. So the guy is either crooked, you know, where he knew this was going to happen, or he's crooked because he's getting payments that he knows he shouldn't be getting. But they're finding things like that. They're finding things far worse than that. And they're finding billions, and it will be hundreds of billions of dollars worth of fraud. I say waste and abuse, but fraud, waste, and abuse. And he's doing an amazing job. And he attracts a young, very smart type of person. I call them high IQ individuals, and they are. They're very high IQ and high IQ. And when they go in to see the people and talk to these people, you know, the people think they're going to pull it over. They don't. These guys are smart, and they love the country. You know, there's a certain something. But he uses the word care. So people.
There's a little bit more here, and we'll get to it. They go on to this whole thing about how Musk spent a lot of time talking about Trump, too, saying that Trump has both competence and caring. And he even said, does anyone think that Joe Biden had either competence or cared about what he was doing? It was clear from the results here. They go back and forth quite a bit in this interview. You should watch the whole thing. It really is worth it. But when you hear that, when you hear that there are people who have signed contracts with the government that have now gone on for 10 years and nobody's looking and nobody's watching to see if the work has ever gotten done or if the contract should be terminated or whether there's no need for the work anymore. They just keep getting paid over and over and over again, 10 years on now. Does anybody doubt that? No, seriously. You can tell me in the chat here. Do you 100% believe that happens regularly with our federal government? Or do you think, no, that sounds outlandish to me. No, there's no way. There's no possible way. I don't think anybody who hears that thinks, well, that's stunning. I can't believe it. Of course we believe it. I don't know. I've asked people, tons of people, what time is it now? After 1 o'clock in the afternoon, this aired last night. I've asked tons. Are you surprised by this? Not one person has said that they're surprised. You tell me. Tell the world in our chat, in the comment section. You surprised? Of course you're not. We know this is happening. Your elected officials know that it's happening. They've done nothing. And all they can do now is stand on the sidelines after creating this nightmare and throw rocks at the people who are actually finally fixing it and say, oh, but we don't like the process. You're not doing it the way you should be doing it. We know how you should fix this. We know how you should fix this. Really, then why didn't you? It's that line from the movie, the Social Network, the Mark Zuckerberg character, right? No, you didn't invent Facebook. You know how I would have known if you invented Facebook? Because you would have invented Facebook. You don't know how to fix the problem you created. You know how I know? Because you've never done anything to fix it. So shut up. You can either join us, you can be a part of this, or just shut your mouth and get out of the way. That's what I would say if I were Musk right now, but he's a little bit more politically savvy than I am.
Other than this fraud or something, we're going to find it's going to be strengthened, but won't be touched. Medicare, Medicaid, none of that stuff is going to be touched.
Nothing.
You don't have to. Now, if there are illegal migrants in the system, we're going to get them out of the system and all of that fraud, but it's not going to be touched.
All right, let's just be clear here because everyone's saying, oh, they're going to ruin Social Security, they're going to ruin Medicare, they're going to break it all. He says, no, except for fraud. Let's just be clear here, you know, because that's what the next narrative. They're going to find stuff in Social Security. You're going to find people who have been living and defrauding the government on it. They're going to put in new protocols that prevent people from defrauding the system on Medicare or on Social Security. And you're going to hear Jake Tapper say, well, the president said he wasn't going to touch Social Security, but now look what they're doing. That was a very, very important caveat that you just put in there. We'll fix the fraud. That's going to end.
At the president's request, or instruction, we are accelerating the return of the astronauts, which was postponed kind of to a ridiculous degree.
They got left in space.
They've been there. They were supposed to be there 8 days. They're there almost 300.
Biden.
They were yes, they were left up there for political reasons, which is not good.
Okay, it's not good. Now, If I had the weight of the pressure of doing that successfully on my shoulders, I think I'd be, but when we spoke before we did this interview, you are very confident. You think this will be a successful mission.
Well, we don't want to be complacent, but we have brought astronauts back from the space station many times before, and always with success. So as long as we're not complacent.
When are you going to launch?
I think it's about 4 weeks to bring them back.
About 4 weeks?
Yeah.
And
we're being extremely cautious. Yeah.
You now have the go-ahead.
Yes. Well, thanks to you.
They didn't have the go-ahead with Biden.
What's that?
He was going to leave him in space. I think he was going to leave him in space.
Well, it's like
He
we
considered
were
it
growing
like-
up, lost in space.
Yeah, he didn't want the publicity.
Can you believe that? He says, no, we can't believe it. Actually, sadly, we can't believe it. I wanted to end with that clip for 2 reasons. The first is I just love the fact that while Musk is handling this Doge process and being the tip of the spear and overseeing it all and coordinating it and reporting to the OMB director and reporting to the president and doing media and doing damage control and making sure that the American people see that he's basically reinventing how government is done and exposing how archaic everything has been done. While he's doing that, he's also coordinating with his team at SpaceX to rescue 4 stranded astronauts that are up for hundreds of days now in the International Space Station at the same time. And this last point here needs to be spelled out because I think I spent a lot of, we haven't talked about Joe Biden much. The first year of this show was really all about Joe Biden because we started in October of 2023. And well, for the first year, Biden was the president and it took us right up to the presidential election. So we spent a lot of time. If you're a newcomer to this show, you know how I feel about Joe Biden. He's an awful human being, a terrible man. He's been a horrible man his entire political career. And I love the fact that he is so invisible and irrelevant right now in our lives, because he did not deserve to be in our lives for as long as he was, whether he was a senator or a vice president or a president. He's everything that's wrong with American politics personified in one human being, a terrible person. And this little anecdote tells you everything you need to know. If you're unaware of these astronauts, they were launched up in a new capsule that was being tested by Boeing. Boeing, the company whose airplanes have had some issues with their doors, right? So Boeing tests out this new capsule that they want to use to be able to send people and retrieve them from the International Space Station. I think it's called the Dragon. This is part of the mission to eventually get back to the moon for NASA. There's 2 different programs, the SpaceX program and this program through NASA with the Dragon. I think it's called Dragon. Anyway, Boeing sends this capsule up and it brings these astronauts up to the International Space Station. And then once it's stuck, they discover they have a problem. And it's incapable of returning the astronauts back into orbit and back to Earth. What are we going to do? So I don't know if you remember this or not. Excuse me, it's not the Dragon. Musk's thing is the Dragon. I forget what the Boeing capsule is called. Maybe somebody's already told me in the chat here. Anyway, Boeing sent their capsule up. Some sort of malfunction. They couldn't bring it down. So in September, SpaceX, led by Elon Musk, they send their capsule up. And the idea is that it goes up there. Starliner, thank you, Mr. Fastbucks, the Starliner from Boeing. The Dragon capsule launches up into space. It docks with the space station. And the idea is you're going to collect the astronauts who were stranded there and then bring them and return them home. This was in September. And it got up there. And then suddenly the Biden administration pulled the plug on the rescue mission inexplicably. Now, you just heard Musk say blatantly, 100% without any guile, this was done for political purposes. And I'm delivering the information to you. You decide. But this was in September. This is 2 months before the election. Elon Musk at that time had endorsed Donald Trump for president and was campaigning for him. And he was there to the rescue to get these American astronauts who are stranded in the space station home so that they're not stranded in space. And the entire operation was frozen by the Biden administration. And now, finally, after Musk told Trump about this, Trump said, what the hell are you talking about? Of course, go get them. And so now 4 weeks from now, they're going to be able to retrieve them. Would Joe Biden and the Democrats, for purely political purposes, because they didn't want Elon Musk to have a big headline and a good publicity moment because that would in turn help Donald Trump, would they have allowed these poor people to be stranded up in space for another 6, 7, 8 months indefinitely just for their own petty, despicable political purposes? Would they do that? I'm sure you know the answer to that question. Have you seen the news from economists forecasting a depression, not a recession now, a depression by the year 2030? Here's what's happening. We got this perfect storm as Social Security and Medicare hit this breaking point with the largest generation hitting retirement all at once. At the same time, you have a smaller workforce, meaning a smaller tax base, and that gets paired with a growing national debt, rising cost of living. It's a problem. And you can wait for Congress to fix it because, after all, they've been great at fixing this problem up till now. Or just spitballing here, how about you take matters into your own hand and protect your family's future? Gold can be a safe haven in hard economic times. Birch Gold makes it easy to diversify a portion of your savings into physical gold. Birch Gold is going to help you transition an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. This doesn't cost you a penny out of pocket. Listen, guys, I know you've been hearing about gold for years, right? And you've been thinking, oh, maybe I should look into that. Maybe I should look into that. This is your chance to look into it. I'm offering you a ton of free information. All you got to do is text my name, Larry, to 989898. You're going to get a free info kit on gold. You're also going to get a copy of The Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era. And that book has a foreword written by Donald Trump Jr. There's no obligation here. We're just delivering you a ton of information so that you can be better informed. And that's what this is all about, isn't it? So just text my name, Larry, Larry, to 989898. Do it today.